is here. This is the year of the knife. Hello, my name is LaShonda, and welcome to part 2 of my double jaw surgery journey. If this is your first time, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. And if you missed part 1, this is your opportunity to pause this and go back and watch the first one so you have the full picture. All right, where did we leave off? Okay, so I told you guys about me swallowing the bip that was used to support my breathing. So I had to get a new one made. And honestly, that was the beginning when I knew something was really off. But what really started to hit me was this. Even though I had a sleep apnea machine, which I desperately needed, I still struggled to breathe during the day. And I'm not talking about light discomfort. I'm talking about I'm sitting at my desk, I'm working, I'm needing to stop and put that machine on just to function in the middle of the day. So imagine you're preparing for really top meetings that you need to be present for, and you're having to stop, take a pause for the cause just to breathe. And I remember thinking to myself, this is not normal. And I really did start to feel like Darth Vader. And I'm a Star Wars fan, so I don't say that lightly. But that's what it felt like. Like I needed assistance just to exist. And yes, that airflow, it helped. Um, but my body knew better, right? Like I think your body knows when something isn't right. And there were key moments during that period where I would have the machine on and my body would almost reject it. Like, this is too much. It's almost like my body was saying, this is not how we were designed. And that started to scare me. That was the moment. So now I'm going to the orthodontist regularly, and every visit I felt depleted. Like I wasn't encouraged. I didn't feel hopeful about the situation. I just felt drained. And I love my orthodontist. He's the best in the city. I truly love the orthodontist I had. But I would sit there sometimes and think to myself, how in the world did I get here? I just came out of treatment, and why am I back in braces again? Now, don't get it wrong. I There's a part of me that enjoyed being in braces. I know that sounds weird because I like the colors and all the different little uh, combinations of colors that I could put together with my outfits. I know that sounds weird. So I just kind of like, I don't know. I found myself falling into that routine, and it was really just a way to make myself feel better given the situation. But deep down, at the end of the day, I couldn't breathe. And let's face it, no color on braces was going to fix that. So I started having to talk myself through every single appointment. Real self-talk. Like, LaShonda, you're gonna get through this. It's gonna be okay. There's a reason why you're going through this. Hang in there. And then one day, my orthodontist said something that shifted everything. He recommended that I go see a myofunctional therapist. Now, at that time, I didn't even know what that was. I was kind of like, myofunctional, what does that mean? But what I learned changed how I saw my situation. So I go, and I'm in what looks like basically speech therapy. Kids are in there, adults are in there, and I'm learning how to properly use my tongue to speak And I'm doing these exercises. I'm doing what they call suction holds, peanut butter scrapes. If anyone's in this industry, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's something you can look up. She's watching how I eat, how I chew, how I function, and it became clear to me there is definitely something deeper wrong here. Um, and then she tells me something that I will never forget. She said, "You don't have enough space in your mouth." She said, "Your tongue is essentially fighting for real estate." Yeah. Really? That wasn't a problem before, though. Um, because now it's not just about the teeth. It's structure, it's function, it's airflow. And then she measured how wide I could open my mouth, and it wasn't much. I really did not have what I had before. Um and then she said, "You're tongue tied." Tongue tied? I was like, tongue tied. Now I had heard that phrase before, but I didn't know it was a real medical condition that one could have. And so that small piece that we all have under our tongue, I forgot the name of it. I'll look it up and put it in the corner. Mine was restricting movement. So now let's recap my life at this point. I'm in braces again. I have a sleep apnea machine. I have trouble breathing during the day. I'm going to speech therapy, and I have a tongue restriction, and I'm trying to live a normal life on top of all of this. Then the day came. I go into my orthodontist appointment, and he looks at me and says, "I think we're at the point where we need to have the conversation." And I was like, I already knew what he was going to say. So I said it for him. "Surgery?" He said, "Yes." He said, "I can move your teeth, but I cannot move your jaws." And that was it. I mean, everything at that moment just stopped. It was like things were like I was hearing what he was saying, but it was underwater. It was in slow motion. Because now it isn't just this cosmetic thing where I'm wearing the braces and, you're putting things back together. This is now structural. This is surgical. And I remember thinking, wait a minute. I'm out here living my life. I'm singing, I'm writing songs, I'm doing all of these photo shoots, and I'm on videos, I'm doing interviews. How am I going to pause my life right now? And as a woman of faith, I thought immediately, God, are you slowing me down? Is this intentional, what you're doing? It begged the question. So I asked, I have a relationship where I just ask questions because I don't give the enemy credit for anything. And then I went and I reflected on a conversation that I had years ago with a colleague from NASA. I used to work for NASA, so shout out NASA. Um, my friend Tawana, she told me something prophetic. She said that I would do music, but I wouldn't be known for my R&B music alone. She said that I would be known for songs of deliverance. And in that moment, I remembered that and I thought, okay, God, what are you up to? What are you doing? Um, Surgery, God, on my face? Okay, and that's not a small thing. So now I'm starting to think practical. I'm thinking like, where do I go from here? How much does this cost? Does my insurance cover this? What does the recovery look like? I'm asking myself in the instant all these questions. And most importantly, what does my life look like after this is over? Right? So I go to the consultation, and my mindset was simple. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to the best. What did I say in my last video? I only associate myself with the best. So I trusted that my orthodontist was connected with the best oral and maxillofacial surgeon in the city. And he was. So there was no shortcuts there. I didn't have to second guess where I was going. Um, we did scans, and let me tell you, when they do scans on you, they scan everything. I mean, every angle, your neck, your face, every bone in that region that they're going to be looking at. Every structure is examined very, very carefully. So that was the first time I had ever seen my skull in such detail on screen. My jaw, they showed me my airway. I was pretty much able to see everything in like a color x-ray, if you will. That felt a little strange at first, seeing yourself like that. But it was very humbling at the same time. So because now I could see what was really going on, there was no mystery anymore. I could see not only what was happening on the outside, but I could see what was going on the inside. And he showed me my airway, what it looked like now, and what it would look like after surgery. And at that point, I didn't care about anything else. All I wanted was to feel better. All I wanted was to be able to breathe properly. So I said, all right, sign me up. But what I didn't realize, okay, I'm recording this episode, and my cat is trying to get out of the room. Um, she gonna have to sit there until I'm done. Sunshine, you gonna have to wait until I'm finished. I told her to behave while I was recording. Sunshine, I'm recording, so you're gonna have to behave, okay? You want to say hi to the people? Say hi to the people. Say hey. Say hello. Say hello. Now she don't want to talk. Any other time she'll say hello. 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 So I said, okay, sign me up. Okay, we're gonna do it. But the thing I didn't realize was the preparation process. This wasn't going to be a quick fix. It wasn't going to be a simple get in, get out. My preparation for this surgery was almost a year. Roughly 11 months if my memory serves me correctly. They had to basically reposition everything or position things to prepare myself for surgery, and that included moving my teeth, aligning my bite a certain way. So that's part of the preparation for surgery. I I didn't I wasn't feeling the look. The look was a little off. My face looked off. Um and during that time, my daughter was graduating from high school, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to be in pictures with my face looking like." I had to push through. I had to push through because this was bigger than how I looked. This was about functionality, right? So they sent me to a nutritionist. Um, she basically was guiding me on what I needed before and after surgery. And I'll do a separate video on that because I think that would be beneficial for people that are preparing for surgery. So I'll do a separate video on that. But basically, she was helping me to understand how I would eat and how I would best recover. But there was one thing missing from the whole shebang bang. Um, there was no mental preparation. Because physically they prepared me, but mentally I was ill prepared for the moment. Um, I would basically sit and look at before and after photos, and some of them were pretty drastic, right? Like people, if you're, say, maybe you didn't have much of a lower jaw at all and you extend it out, it's going to look pretty normal. And my case wasn't extreme like that, but I was asking myself the question, like, what am I going to look like after all of this is said and done? How long is it going to take for me to heal? Asking all those questions, right? And I said to myself, LaShonda, if you come out of this and you don't like the results, you're going to have to love yourself anyway. So I had to mentally prepare myself because there was nothing or no one really other than me and the Lord preparing me for that surgery. So knowing that my life is about to change, I signed on the dotted line and I prepared emotionally, I prepared spiritually, and most importantly, I had to trust that God had my back and was going to see me through this surgery because this journey was no longer an option anymore. So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking to yourself, is there anything going on in my life that is forcing me into something that I don't necessarily want to choose? I want you to hear my words clearly. Any disruption that you will ever have in your life is not meant for destruction. So sometimes I believe that God will allow interruption to bring correction. And that includes, in my example, my face. So, yeah, what I thought was the end of something was actually the beginning of a long healing process that I was intentional and allowed God to take me through. So I want to thank you for walking through this segment of the journey. In part 3, we're going into surgery itself. So stay with me. If this episode blessed you, if you know someone who's going through a similar time, please share. This is how we help one another and encourage each other and encourage this community. So I hope that I've brought some clarity to my experience. And if I've earned your subscription, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and like and share. And I'll see you in part 3.